with my partner in crime, Clayton Guillory. It went down this week, Clay. The Youth National Championship for 2023 is in the books, man. If you see this walking around anywhere in your town, anywhere in the city, you already know what this means. Okay, you ain't gonna get this at your local, football vibe. This is detailed to the best. This is what the babies are rocking, just like we promised you. Stood on business, and this is what the champions walking with. Besides the key to the city around their neck, crystal ball vibes is going on. We'll talk about some surprise wins, not only in the championship games, but what we thought was just some really intense playoff games, getting up to the championship. And then we'll talk about some what we thought would be blowouts. Wasn't no blowouts. And then what we thought would be good games was blowouts. So, this is why you got to play the game, man. Clay, man, hats off to you, the staff, man. Your staff just did a crazy, phenomenal thing. All the games was on time, in and out. Started off where, we had to just kind of clamp down on some teams early into the process, but overall didn't outshine or didn't overshadow the phenomenal play. Some legends was made this week as they are youth and crowned youth national champions.
Nah, without a doubt, man. Great event. Saw some of the best football that I've seen, not only just this year, but over the past couple years, man. Like you said, some big upsets, and most importantly, man, the thing that really impressed me the most is that I saw some teams that really made some very good coaching adjustments.
Yeah.
In an era where everybody is talking about these super teams and teams being loaded up, to see some of these coaches make some of the coaching adjustments that they made, man, phenomenal. And if we're being honest, we saw some of the hand down favorite teams in the national championship games get out coached. They got out coached, man. So,
Yeah.
it just shows that the level of competition, the level of execution it's increased when you're talking about the youth national championship. Second to none, by far the best, youth football tournament in the country, man. But like you said, Jonah, we had to clamp down early, so I mean, no reason to even kind of duck around it, man. We can go on and discuss it because that's what we do here on Football Uncuts. We had to disqualify two teams. We had to
Right.
disqualify two
Right.
teams, right? Now, let's kill all the rumors and all the he say she say on the two teams that we had to disqualify. They didn't have players that were too old, right? They didn't, it was nothing crazy like that. It was just a simple fact that they had players that had played on other teams during the regular
Correct.
season. You can't dual
Correct.
certify, right? And if we being honest, man, there were a lot of teams that were accused of it, right? But those were the only two that actual factual, like verifiable proof had been submitted that we were able to kind of verify and solidify and put everything in place. And it's all part of the process, right? I saw some people saying, well, why didn't you guys catch this at certification? Why I wasn't caught at the beginning? The reality of it is that until there's one database that collects all the youth football players in the country in one spot, you're gonna have situations like this that you may catch it after the fact.
Right.
And if I'm being honest, man, a lot of it I can't even put the blame on some of these coaches, bro. A lot of this has to do with these parents, man, because some of these coaches don't even know that their players are playing on two teams, man.
It's
So
crazy.
parents, I mean, you got to take a look. You got to take a little ownership on this. If your son is on a team and you guys are preparing to participate throughout the season and end it with the ultimate championship, which is the youth national championship, you got to be honest with your coach, man. A lot of parents, a lot of coaches, a lot of players put a lot of time, effort, and money into this thing, man. And for them to get disqualified because a parent decided to have their player on another team or was untruthful with the coach and just said that, boom, we was with another team a couple weeks into the regular season and now we want to come over to you. Like, guys, you just got to be a little bit more truthful with that, man. Because one thing I think was identified this year is that people gonna tell. And oh, do they tell. And Jonah, do they tell? And Jonah, I ain't got to tell you, bro, because your inbox is blowing up just like mine.
Snitch
So,
City.
with that being said, though, like you said, the football overshadowed the BS, man. Gosh, it was some
Yeah.
great football going down in Wellington, man. And I take my hats off to all the young athletes. I take my hats off to the coaching staffs. Take my hats off to the parents who are dedicated to this, man. Excellent, excellent, excellent event. The YNC is the YNC for a reason, and you guys proved that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, it started off early in the week. Then you jump out the box. It was some exciting games. What was one of the most exciting games you would say was day one? That just even the matchup alone, day one.
Day one, man, right out. I mean, so the game that was crazy for me day one, right? Right out the box, man. 7U. Bessemer versus TNS. When I tell you, man, that game was crazy because if my memory serves me correctly, I think TNS had jumped up either 12-0 or
Early.
14-0, something
Yep.
like that. And Bessemer being the YNC defending champion, man, they just kicked it into overdrive. And boom, start chipping at it, chipping at it, chipping at it. And then to win the game within the last, I believe the last 60 seconds of the game, the way that they did, man, it was crazy. And even after
Yeah.
they had taken the lead at the end of the game, man, um, TNS had an opportunity to come down the field and try to get one last score to win, man. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
man, they came up 10 yards short on that last play. The quarterback was pushed out, at the 10-yard line. But oh my gosh, man, to see that type of execution, that type of intensity on the 7U level, man. After that game, I said to myself, I started getting goosebumps, Joan. I said, ooh, this thing's finna be good, y'all. Man, this
Yeah,
thing's finna be
Lord.
good. What
It
what
was
what what game
excellent
stuck out to you
football.
day one, bro?
Man, well, it wasn't day one. I think the game that stuck out to me in the whole tournament, man, was on the 10 and under. Devin Hester came with those boys at West Orlando Jags about to knock off, Twin City, Rare City, and talking about a game that just was going back and forth and back and forth. That was
Oh
just a
man.
game that you would see like on an NFL level. Like, man, this is crazy. We saw Devin Hester play Georgia Eagles early in the year, and it wasn't really much of a contest. But man, they retooled, they kind of focused, came back there, and I'm telling you, it was only a play away of seeing a different 10 and under championship game. But like those coaches said to me from Rare City, they're like, man, we so glad we had that game. It got us ready to play dominant football because we came into YNC a little lackadaisical. We was caught up in all the vibes and the energy. We wasn't really football focused. He said, man, that game got us football focused, coaches included too. And he said that will propel them to have an excellent outing against the Georgia Eagles, and we see how that turned out, man. And then I got to tell you, probably the most exciting play in all the whole tournament for me, well, it's just so many. We'll talk about championship games in a minute. But man, we talk about 13 and under. The money team was down. They were playing the OG Ducks. OG Ducks just scored. It was only a couple minutes left in the game. They were celebrating, getting ready
A1.
to celebrate and go to the next to the championship game, and they kicked the ball deep to A1. I'm like,
A1.
do you know who you just kicked off to? And I said, well, they're about to find out. And all you just heard was gears. And next thing it was touchdown. And that was probably one of the most exciting game-changing, closing plays. That singular kid, of course, with the blocking on special teams, sent the OG Ducks home, man.
Man, yeah, when A1 returned that punt, I was standing there in the back of the end zone watching it all unfold, and I was like, my man had nothing on his mind but the end zone. And then to cap it off, then that 2-point conversion, the very after the return punt, man, number 9 for TMT, one of the young men who this weekend, along with B Fire, received invitations or received offers from the University of
Office, yeah.
Miami, man. My man goes up, and from what I hear, he's a 7th grader, right? My man goes up, had the DB on his shoulder, and snagged it one hand in the end zone and came down like, what?
Crazy.
Man,
Crazy.
that game was really dope, man. I really enjoyed that game. That OG Duck and TMT game was everything that it was built up to be. And it was
Yeah.
a great, great matchup, man. So many great matchups, though. Again, like you said, the Rare City and the West Orlando
West
Jags
Orlando.
game was crazy.
Movie.
But if we're being honest, man, that Bugatti and Voodoo game was everything as well too, right?
Bruh,
Obviously, we
I
know
know. I
the game ended. The game ended with a black eye on it, but I will say this, man: if that Bugatti team is going to be a legitimate 7-1 team in Florida Elite next year, like I've been
Yeah,
hearing, ooh wee, man, Batman and Coach O and company, man, it might be another one of them situations
a
where,
new
hey,
rivalry.
there might finally be some competition in the barn for them.
Yeah, that's a new rivalry I would see there because that was a highly contested game. They gave Voodoo everything they wanted and more: physicality, speed, game breaking touchdown capabilities. Um, like they said, the head coach told us directly, man, he's like, hey, we going to look, we want to see them early in you guys' preseason event. We want them one on one. We are going after. He said, we want Voodoo. And let me tell you, that's the first time I saw Voodoo kids just punting and getting off the field. And I've never seen that before out of that team. So I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to that rivalry, man. And some great rivalries that's developing in YNC. And speaking of rivalries, that game was a lot closer on 12 and under, Clay. Everybody just
Listen, man,
every time you had a lot of teams scared. They didn't want to compete. They didn't want to get in the ring with the big gorilla, the apes. But like we told you, we had some kids that were small in size, but like yeah, we wanted that action. We wanted that lineup action, and that's a new
I,
rivalry that they not backing
I
down.
said it earlier. I said it earlier in the season, Jonah, when I told everybody Boynton Beach was the number 2 team in the country. Everybody told me I was crazy. Everybody told me I was biased to the YNC. People laughed at me. And I told y'all, I said, Boynton Beach is a team that is not afraid of Rare Breed. And like I said before, man, at halftime, Rare Breed really had to take a look in the mirror and decide if we really
Yeah,
gonna hold on to this throne because first half, Boynton Beach was out coaching them, out executing them. Boynton Beach wanted it more than them, man. But that's the heart of a
yeah,
champion, Rare Breed. Coach Mark and staff, that's their 5th YNC national championship in a row on 2 different teams, man, and they pulled it out. Now, I done already seen the comment, man, and let me address this, Jonah. I'm gonna address this, and I
what's
know
that?
you hate when I get on my soapbox, man, but let me address this, man. Guys, please kill all the running clock rumors. All right. If a team is up by 20 points at the YNC, it's a running clock. If it's under 20 points, it is regulation game clock, 10-minute quarters, NCAA time. Everybody kept saying games were running clock. Games were not running clock. I need you to use that Siri application on your phone, use the Google, and understand that how the clock is ran in NCAA now has changed than it has in the past. So when there's an incomplete pass, right, the clock doesn't stop and restart when the quarterback hikes the ball. The quarterback stops, and then the clock stops on the incomplete pass, and then it restarts when the
Once the ball is set.
referees set the ball. That is a new NCAA rule. So again, but if when you bet money and you drunk in the stands and you talking shit and not paying attention, you don't understand that. So I'm gonna say it again. Kill all the running clock rumors and just do a little bit of reading, man. Reading is fundamental. Read those new rules and then you'll understand what went down, man. But listen, bro, that like I said, man, that Boynton Beach and Rare Breed's game,
Yeah, crazy.
it was exactly what people didn't think it was gonna be.
Yeah,
So hats off to both teams, man. Hats off to both teams.
no, 100% crazy. Even the 13U game was crazy, man. Where I was happy for West Orlando in the sense that they really wanted to prove they were dominant. And I was also happy that TMT fought through adversity, whatever they were going through in the year, was able to get to the championship game. But it just unfolded how football would have it unfold. Um, Listen, West Orlando just was dominant through the entire tournament. The time they got off the plane to their first game, their second game, they didn't slow down. That team, I would say, out of all the age groups, looked like they were on the clearest mission from the time they had their first snap to the last snap from every game. If you look and analyze all of their games, they were extremely dominant through the whole entire event.
What about the zip up boys? Hey
Oh
man,
man, well,
listen. Listen,
It's
man,
a new sheriff on the block.
and listen. I've said on this show time and time again that Lambeau is the number one youth football team in the country, pound for pound. It don't matter. I've said it. And the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes proved me wrong. Hats off to that coaching staff. Hats off to that team, man. They had an excellent game plan and they
Yeah,
executed it almost flawlessly with Lambeau, man.
yeah,
So for me, that's a matchup I can't wait to see next year, Jonah. And we might get it early. And you had kind of already hinted to this
I
about
told
next year
you.
in the preseason. But listen, I'm gonna go and put it on out there right now. Listen, guys, get your Twitter fingers ready. Go on, screenshot it. We finna show you what preseason look like next year. AG,
Ooh,
hit him with the remix on that preseason joint, man. Hit him with that
ooh.
hit him with the remix right here. So you'll know. This is what preseason looks like next year. The YNC, we're not finna do 3 and 4 tournaments like we've done in the past because you guys always want to run all these different events. And then you've got some good teams go to one event, some good teams go to the other event. We can never get all the best teams in one spot. So here's what we're doing this year. 2024 preseason nationals. Yes, you heard it. We having national championships in the preseason. 4-day event going down in the state of Alabama from August 1st, which is a Thursday, through August 4th, which is a Sunday. Now, this is before anybody's back in school, so you can't use no, my kids got to go to school excuses or anything like that. Plan for it now. This is where the preseason nationals are going to be 6U, 7U, 8U, 9U, 10U, 11U, 12U. And yes, you see it right here. Listen, man, we finna kill all this. This kid plays varsity, this kid's play high school, etc., etc. We are combining 14U and 13U. In the YNC, there will be no 13U and 14U divisions no more. We are strictly going to have an 8th grade division with the 14U age cutoff. So July 1st, 2024, kid needs to be 14 or under, and they have to be in the 8th grade. No more, you heard it, no more high school players in the YNC, all right? It's just going to be no 13U, no 14U, boom. We're just going to have an 8th grade division, 12 teams per age level. We're doing bracket and showcase games. This is where the best play. We're trying to get over 100 to 120 teams in one spot. We're going to crown some preseason national champions, 4-day event. Go and lock yourself in, man. It's going down.
Yeah, biggest party, the biggest party, the biggest party. Just go ahead, get y'all hotel rooms from now, book it so it's way cheaper than when everybody start flooding the city. But it's just basically gonna be the pre-nationals. You can just call it that. This is gonna be nationals. It's gonna feel just like you having at YNC. It's gonna be a vibe, like you say, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, getting all the teams in, and we'll crown a preseason national champion that's going to be ranked number one coming right into the play. So we don't have to figure it out. And so we want to rank our top teams right then. We want to see them in person. So we will have to be jumping to this event and filming that event and watching this on the live stream. No, we get to see the top teams right in front of us. So, man, y'all lock and load, man. This is it. Get the dates, screenshot it, get your parents, get your team president, get everybody who you need to get, because you won't want to miss it. And so we're going to open up registration early at the beginning of the year and lock everybody in. And I got to tell you, if you're not there, you're not anywhere.
And let me go on and answer because I see them in the things now. Nothing at the YNC is an all-star team. These have to be select. These have to be select fall roster teams. No all-star events. Some people saying, hey, how you going to verify in 8th grade? It's simple. We're going to get a report card. We're going to do what they call a school verification, all that. Like, guys, it amazes me how everybody comes up with ways to try to get past the system and just understanding these are the rules. All right. The kid can be 14 or under on July 1st, 2024, but the kid has to be in the 8th grade. All right. So if you want to have a 13U team that's built on 8th grade, it's cool. You could be in the event. If you want to have a 14U built on 8th grade, it's cool. You could be in the event. Y'all gonna play against each other. But that's just the parameters, man. We're gonna go ahead and kill all that extra riffraff that come with the 13, 14U. Boom. 8th grade event. Just like that.
Yes, sir. So, man, Clay, let's kind of just talk about. Let's break these age groups down, man. We talked about, and this is preseason. We're getting ready for next year, but let's crown these champions, man, that took place this past weekend at YNC, starting at the 6 and under, man. Matchup that we love to see, and you got to give a shout out to the number one team in the country right now. Call them Big Bessemer. Number 3, I got to tell you, it's some of the most exciting football I've seen. You talking about this man was just on a mission himself. Let's go ahead and just take a look at some of these top plays from the 6U team at the YNC.
Mm.
Quarterback came around on that handle, and this is what I was telling you, number 3 right here, Clay. Just opening up the field, doing his thing, doing his dance. 6 years old, already got their swag, got his Grady on. Off tackle, they was fighting back.
Six eight. You got a game, folks.
Mm-hmm.
My man headed around the right side, got around that corner. Nice cut back in the middle of the field. And at that right there, man, he's showing what them pumes is on.
Yeah,
Touchdown.
you coming the number one team. Think about it now. Let's start counting how many number one teams went down this weekend, Clay. This is the first one. Talking about GEA.
Oh yeah.
Taking on Bessemer. Then of course, number 3 calls his number once again, hits to the corner of the end zone, makes it look easy.
Hey, that's the MVP. That's Mr. MVP right there. They call him Car, huh?
Car. GEA comes right back again. Touchdown. Ball crosses the plane. Look at this score. This is a heck of a game right here, man.
22-16. My
Number
man
3 calls
faced
his own number
the jet
again.
sweep. Yep. Oh, Jonah, looked like he stole one of your dance moves right there.
Oh, here we go. Man, now look at that read. He saw how it came, and that how he stretched the defense out on that was crazy. He teased them on the inside, and look, Bessemer walks away as national champs with a battle. And this is what a national championship game is supposed to look like, Clay. 24-22.
Most definitely.
Both of these teams putting in work. Putting in work. Give a shout out to my man Amp Quality for the aerial views. And they go ahead and look at my man at the number 1 spot, holding it down. And of course, the MVP player. Let's look at him, my man. Let's take a look at Car right here, man. Holding up that big trophy. You know how many calls I get all day, Clay? Can we get that? Can we get the contact for the Heisman Trophy?
Nah.
No, man. We really can't. We ain't trying to water down the product.
No, not at all, man. And I can tell you this. There's Mr. MVP himself right there. Big car. And here's the crazy thing, Jonah. Here's the craziest part about it, man. This year, I got so many requests from coaches and organization or park presidents asking for, Clay, these particular rings, man. The chain said the key to the city. This is so dope, man. I'll pay for more of them, man. Can we order more? Man, I got to get with my jewelry guy and place a whole nother order of about 40, 50 sets for all these teams that won because they want to pay for different sets, man.
Yeah.
Listen, bro.
I had a coach saying he wanted to buy it for all the parents.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to try to find to try to top this next year, man. It's gonna be real hard.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll find a way. We'll shout out once again to the number 1 team in the country, Bessemer Tigers, winning a close game against GEA. Alabama strikes in the first state that would bring in the first championship. So, Clay, that was just warming up on Saturday. The action wouldn't stop then. This was an exciting age group that we told you would be straight fire through the whole entire tournament. Let's take a dive into the matchup for the 7 and under. Let's check it out.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, it ain't a broken record. Adamsville Tigers, and this is what I told you was the dark horse, Clay. I said they would be coming ready to play, and they would take on Bessemer Tigers, the defending champs. Ball in the air, ball caught. 7 and under, Clay. Looking like Dan Marino, the high.
Oh, you see my man. Hey, and that's the one thing I enjoyed about watching this 7U game, man. These kids really play with great enthusiasm, great excitement, man. You would have thought for sure they was well older than they were at 7 years old, man. Adamsville put together a hell of a national championship game right here. Cut back to the
Listen,
inside, the
I
middle's
got to
open
tell.
up. Go ahead, go ahead.
And Bessemer Tigers, it just seemed like they ran out of gas. They had a great tournament, first game, second game. They get up against Adamsville Tigers team, overwhelmed, man. And Adamsville runs away with the national championship, putting up a donut, winning 22-0. So Adamsville clearly showing their dominance here, the number one team in it. I got to tell you, Clay, I was super impressed with this team out of Alabama. And that shows you two teams back-to-back from Alabama. Look, Alabama's planting some seeds. And what do I mean by that, Clay? 6U, 7U. This is going to be growing up inside of the ranks of YNC.
And what's crazy, man, is that everybody, I mean, you hear it, John. You probably hear it more than I do because you in Florida. Everybody tries to say, oh, the YNC is built for the Georgia teams. Oh, it's built for Atlanta. Atlanta's the only city that's got 7-1 cutoff day. Well, no. Because the league that Bessemer's in, the league that Tarrant City is in, the league that Wahoma's in, the league that Adamsville, all these different. Guess what their cutoff dates is, y'all? 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama has stepped up to the plate.
Yep.
So
Yep.
listen, man, like Jonah said, our 6U, 7U, and 8U, the best youth football teams in the world on those three age levels, all come from the state of Alabama, man. It is about to be a shift. Jonah, I
Yep.
see it
Yep.
coming. It's about to be a shift in the youth football powers for a moment.
And I can tell you somebody who was shifting was the MVP holding his Heisman Trophy winner, Mr. Taylon Formey from the Adamsville Tigers. Let's see him real quick, just doing it while he's up there stunting and deserving of this
There he
trophy,
is.
holding it down from the billionaire boys, you know what I'm saying? And
Look at that
congratulations
smile, Jonah,
to
bro.
him. Yeah, man.
Listen, bro.
Did it.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile, bro. Like you can't replicate that right there, man. Look how excited, look how happy that young man is, how proud he is holding up that MVP trophy. He did that. He deserved that, man. And
Put
it's
the
great
city
that
on
he's
his
able
back.
to come on, bro. You can't beat
Yeah.
this, man. You can't beat this at all.
Man, now Clay, 8 and under. Huh.
Whoo! I'm gonna tell you this, Jonah. It's some people in the city of Houston, Texas, that is still upset about this 8U national championship game, brother. Hey,
That's
man,
what
them people is hot.
I'm gonna leave this one to you, Clay, because I know this
Them
personal
people is
feelings. I
hot.
said, man, can Texas get on the win board here in the championship round? Can they take the crystal ball back to Texas? Oh, it's about to go
Hey,
down. They
man.
playing, and I said, well, listen, they playing against Bessemer, the defending national champs. But if anybody had a chance to knock them off, I said, man, send me no boys don't play. This is the opportunity, man. So game started off very rocky, but then it just started coming on. You know, instead of me talking about it, let's dive into it right now. 8 and under youth national championship. And of course,
And right off the rip, there you go. I mean, taking it to the house.
oh,
Bessemer,
they
defending
Heisman,
national champion.
posing the whole team Heisman posing. And here you go,
Oh,
Texas
yeah.
right across it with the slap. Nice throw, Clay. I'm not even gonna cap. Excellent throw. When I saw that, I
Uh-oh.
said, boy, Texas in the house, boy, they dancing. They got the routine. And this was the overtime, man. This was where it was at. Boom. Breaks. And then
Nice.
this would kill them.
Powerful
This
stiff
broke
arm.
their back, Clay. This was the first play in overtime. And it looked like he would be tackled for a loss. And he went around the corner and gave you that Heisman Trophy win again. And this is how it ended up for them. This was fourth down. They only needed inches, Clay, inches to tie it up. Inches. And denied it.
And meat,
Got denied.
and he ran right into a brick wall by the name of Meatball, man. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if any of you guys know Meatball, but one thing is for sure, he got the right name for a reason. My man is 2 tons of fun. And at 8 years old, you're not running through that brick wall when you're standing right there to him. it was a lot of people upset on the Texas side from this game because they felt like that the game wasn't really left on the field, man. They felt like that they had a better shot. But I'm gonna tell you this: you got to take your hat off to the Bessemer Tigers. Now back-to-back YNC national champions, the best 8U
Yeah.
team in the country, and until somebody can knock them off next year on 9U, they're gonna wear the crown, man. Great job with Bessemer, man. They finished the trifecta for Alabama on 6U, 7U, and 8U. And again, man, let's take a look at that MVP.
Give a shout out to my man Tyler Burton representing for Bessemer Tigers, the
Yes,
national
sir.
champs. And I give a shout out to Gorilla Mob, man. This is another rivalry, another national rivalry. Two teams that really just dominated through the tournament. Don't sleep on Gorilla Mob, man. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do next year. But right now, my man gets to take this trophy to the crib. He is the best of the best. He has definitely earned his MVP on the #1 team in the nation. Shout out to Tyler holding it down for Bessemer. So listen, Clay, this is where we said, well, will this team be focused now that they were almost knocked off by a team that we felt was surprised, Bugatti? I told you Bugatti was dominant here in Florida. I really couldn't get a good feel for them nationally because they didn't have too many national matchups. I knew they were tough, knew they would give you everything they want. But let's go to the Voodoo highlight before we even jump in and we show off there. Let's talk about how dominant Voodoo ended up being after. And if you notice, Clay, every team that goes through a tough game in the prelim, when they come to that championship game, it's balls to the wall, man. It's they take that experience, they take that scare, I would say. Hey, man, we almost got knocked off. Y'all better get back to reality. Let's take a look at Voodoo taking on my man. Came up a little bit short, coming out of Louisiana, Crescent City Chargers. Voodoo
And
dominant
I'm gonna
coming
tell you,
off
Joe,
left tackle.
after that matchup the Crescent City Chargers had with them, I felt like that if anybody had a shot, they had a shot. But as you can see, Voodoo with two quick scores right there, both to the left side off the tackle. My man cuts back in. Now he dancing in the end zone. Now you go quarterback under center. They hand it off, straight dive down the middle, and number 20 hit by 3 or 4 guys, and he's steady moving them legs. 32-0, man. I mean, it was just one. It was Voodoo's day. You know what I'm saying? Everything they
Yeah.
wanted to do, they thought about doing, they should do. Maybe they didn't know they could do. They did it all.
Well, like I said, with that close game where they were in a scare, where thought they were going to take a loss, I think they got back to the basics. They was practicing in the parking lot that night in the back of the hotel in the dark with the lights off, with camera phones, just lighting it, getting it back right. And you see the results the following day. 32-0. Crescent City Chargers was just overwhelmed. A lot of people say, man, that was a championship game the game before against Bugatti. And so it all unfolded this way. But one thing we can tell you, 4-time national champion, Atlanta Elite Voodoo, you got to give your hats off to those guys, Clay.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And then Mr. MVP himself.
Mike Willie. Mike Willie.
There he
L.A.
is.
Mike is what they call him. L.A. Mike.
And
Holding it up,
the thing I
man.
like about Voodoo, man, is that you never really know who that MVP is going to be because it could be a different kid on a different day. As dominant as they are, and they have some bona fide stars on their team. But the thing I enjoy the most about watching Voodoo, who are now the 4-time YNC national champions, they just tied the record. They just tied the record with Coach Reggie and his squad. Will they be the 5th national champion next year and then break the record? But the thing I enjoy the most about them is they play as a team, man. When you're talking about defense, you're talking about defense that swarms to the ball. When you talk about offense, you talk about, some very skillful guys. If the ball's not in their hand, they're blocking until the whistle's blown. And then their offensive line, like I said, man, they going to block you until after the ref blows the whistle, man. Voodoo is the definition of youth football in America when you talk about the best.
Absolutely, man. And we talk about anytime you can win 4 times straight. That's just amazing, man. And have not taken a loss preseason, regular season, or postseason in that span. So that just says a lot. They don't know what it is to lose since they've been 6U. I don't know how often that's been done, but that's an amazing feat. They've had some close games. They have some blowouts. They've won in a variety of ways, defensively, special teams. But the most consistent thing you can say is they won. And so we'll see which team it can challenge them. The closest I've seen physically, talent wise, speed wise, skill set wise, trench wise, and coaching wise, I gotta say it's been Bugatti to give them the closest challenge. So we'll see how close they can keep that going for the next couple of years. They said they're going to come up there to Alabama. They want to see them in Alabama round one. They don't even want to play no games. They said put them on the opposite side of the bracket. They feel both of them, they're going to dominate their respective age group. They'll be 10U next year. They want 10U action out the gate next year in Alabama at the YNC preseason nationals.
Oh
So
yeah.
talking about 10 and under, let's talk about this year's 10 and under. We knew this was a collision course, Clay. We saw the game that was before, like we said, West Orlando Jaguars took on Rare City. A very exciting game. I mean, that was just highlights on highlights by itself. But we saw this being the theme that was in YNC. Whatever team would get a hard game before going into the national championship game, it would seem to tune them up, get them back to the basics of who they are. And you can always almost see the calm before the storm. Like, oh man, that was a close game. Will they fumble the ball going in there, or will this really get their kids focused? So let's take a look at the highlights as it went down between the Georgia Eagles, the defending national champs, will take on Rare City, who was the defending national champs from the year before. So this was champ on champ, going for the undisputed championship this past Saturday. Rare City with the pickup fumble. Now look how many opportunities he's going to get tackled. One there, breaks out of that. 2, 3, breaks out of that. Comes out of that. Now I got to escort of the whole team. Let's ride out. Let's ride out. I ain't getting tackled today. Touchdown. So this was the first
And that,
scoop and score. So Eagles would come
oh
back.
yeah.
Quarterback's under center. Hand off to the right-hand side. Stutter step. Guess what? Nothing there. Then he would snatch this. Another fumble. He's fighting people on. He wants this. He like, come on again. Come on.
Come on with it. Come on.
You're
Come
walking
get you
over,
some.
but you limp back.
Man, Rare City was definitely the more physical team in this national championship national championship matchup over the Georgia Eagles, man. And the one thing that I noticed, obviously we know Rare City is the 10U national champion, best 10U team in the country right now, without a doubt, 14-0 over the Georgia Eagles. But one thing I noticed, man, is that I didn't really see the Georgia Eagles passing the ball this year in the national championship game against Rare City like they did the
Yeah.
previous year before when they won. And a lot of people could ask why, but Rare City, from my observation, did a really good job of turning up the pressure with their D line this year. It they really what the quarterback didn't have an opportunity to sit in the pocket and be comfortable like he did last year, man. And that's the thing. If you was on that field after the game, man, not only were the coaches excited and felt like that they had a lot of aggression that they needed to get off, but even the players too, man. I'm hearing the players talk about how they was just quiet, how they was just patient. They was waiting for the opportunity at the Georgia Eagles again. Georgia Eagles had got them in the preseason, and they had just been working all year for that moment. And that's why I always say, it's not how good you are in January or August, but what you clicking on in November and December that can determine who's
Correct.
the best team in the country right now, right? So
Right.
it'll be interesting, Jonah. Here's the thing. You and I have kind of seen this before with RDU and the Slidell Hurricanes, where they've played each other in the national championship back to back to back, right? We've never had two teams play for the national championship 4 years in a row, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how it works when they transition to 11U. Do we get the Rare City and Georgia Eagles matchup 4 years in a row? And if we do, Does Rare City go up in that national championship series 3-1, or does the Georgia Eagles even it out 2-2? Man, next year 11U is going to be a movie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's just going to really favor the team that will be able to go ahead and have a balanced type of offense. Can they put the ball up in there as these kids get bigger in size and they get their football IQ get a little bit better? It's going to be hard to run on them. The difference is Georgia Eagles really couldn't set their pass game up. 3-step drops, 5-step drops in there. Kid like Bryce Patrick coming off the edge at defensive end didn't allow the 3-step drops to kind of happen. So then will the coaches be able to evolve with the kids they have on the team? Will they be able to evolve the offense just from particular matchups? Because if you look at Twin City, they had some harder matchups against West Orlando Jags. They could, West Orlando Jags was able to get the ball off. They were able to complete passes. They were able to protect for the quarterback better than the Georgia Eagles was. Now, does that mean as a team? Look, Georgia Eagles blew out West Orlando earlier this. So it's all about individual matchups. So, yeah, as you get older, I think those individual matchups are going to be more glaring. And so I don't think it'll be a two-team race as they get older. I think you'll have to start integrating some teams that will know how to use their talent best, like a West Orlando Jags may have to be thrown in the mix with these two teams here. Now, the other teams that are just run heavy and depend on just running the ball, I think those are the teams that they're going to start separating the pack and stay in one area because clearly these defensive linemen can decipher run game themselves. They don't need a coach to do it. The teams that's going to be exceptional is the ones who can put in play action, put the ball up in there, and be well balanced. And I got to tell you, if I wanted to say an up-and-coming team, I like West Orlando Jags to be one of those up-and-coming teams that compete in this top three of action right now, Clay.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Most definitely. West Orlando is right there. The question is, and we've seen this before, Jonah.
Yeah.
10U to 11 was one of those age levels, like you just explained, where the way the game is played changes tremendously. Right?
Right.
We saw it this year in our 11U national championship with the difference between Lambeau and the Hurricanes. Which team is going to adapt the best is going to decide who the national champion is going to be next year.
Right. Well, let me give a shout out to my man who was the MVP for Twin City Rares, as we see it up here, man. Give a shout out to Tristan Moss holding up that Heisman Trophy as he was selected as the MVP. And also let me give a shout out, one of my personal MVPs that I think really dominated the game. You got to give it up to Patrick, man. Bryce Patrick had an excellent job, a lot of quarterback sacks. He caught extra point as a tight end. So just a combination of some dominant players. But, man, right here, you saw he was just putting people in the ground right there. Playing with an attitude,
yes,
stiff arm, challenging people, dominant performance as he was able to put his team in a scoring position. Congrats to my man Tristan Moss Jr. holding it down for the Twin City Rares. All right, Clay. 11 and under, man. You used to come on weekly, the number one team in the universe, in the world, pound for pound. We said it so many times, Lambeau. But it was very interesting to watch this matchup between Lambeau and the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes. It would almost seem exactly what we was just talking about, going from 10U to 11U. It's about evolving. Yep. And one thing we were complimenting Coach Howard on earlier this year was him evolving. His offense was able to go ahead and have a balanced attack. We saw him in Carolinas where he was able to do play action, go downfield, put the ball up in the air. He took on RCU. He took on different teams there, and he had a very balanced offense. And that was the difference where we're saying, yeah, you know what? This is the best pound-for-pound team because they're not just the run-dominant offense they used to be. But one thing I was calling that game, Clay, it seems like in this game that they went and took some steps back in regards to their involvement. We always knew when we felt Coach Howard would get in trouble, and what I mean trouble, where if he felt like, hey, I need some yards, we know he goes unbalanced with the wings in the backfield and direct snaps to the quarterback and just plays bully football. But always the question we had, Clay, is what happens when a team can stop that? What happens when this team won't be bullied? What happens if they can meet you man on man, mano on mano, and stop you and make you go punt the ball 3 and out on that? And that's what happened, in my opinion, in this game. We saw it. He went to his arsenal. His pass game was not crisp in the championship game. And it's not so much it was the execution of Lambeau as so forth as it was the pressure that the defensive line was putting on his quarterback. So this game would really start out as two heavyweight champions filling each other out, dominant defensively on both sides of the football. Lambeau has an excellent defense, and so does the Hurricanes. And that's how that game really kind of started out. But then Hurricanes, the difference in this game, in my opinion, Clay, was the passing game for the Hurricanes. They were able to get some one-on-one matchups, catch the
Yeah.
cornerback out there one-on-one, and that is what we says at 11 and under. If you're just going to depend on being able to push somebody around and bully him, you're going to be limited. And that was the difference where Hurricanes was able to get some quick strike plays, two big plays, and separated themselves in this game.
I agree with you, Jonah. I mean, the passing game of the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes was definitely the difference maker, right? You know, during the game, I said to myself, I feel like Lambeau was kind of doing some of the things that they're not used to doing, right? And one thing about Coach Howard, man, is that he's been national champion a few times over, right? He's been the number one team in the country, pound for pound, for a couple years now. And sometimes you got to get back to what you do and just do it. Who cares that if it scores a lot of points? Who cares if it's pretty? Who cares on if it takes up a whole quarter for drive, right? You just got to do what you do, man. And they are a ground and pound team. They've been built on that. And I think once Coach Howard started getting back to that, right, that, time wasn't on his side at that particular time. But I will tell you this, man. I do feel like that this game might be one we see again at the national championship next year, too. I don't know. Don't call me Miss Cleo, but I think that might be a game we see at the national championship again next year. Because if we're being honest, Jonah, they've been some very dominant 11Us this year. But if I'm evaluating what I've seen from this entire season, Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes and Lambeau are in a separate class they own compared to everyone else.
Yeah, yeah.
But you never
I
know what
think
this
those are two
offseason will bring.
dominant. Yeah, I think they're super dominant. And as much as you want to, teams may kind of cheer of the loss that Howard had, but they can't beat them. The same formation we're talking about, they've been fortunate enough that if they run in a majority of teams, they go out and score. The only one who's been able to stop it is the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes. So you're right. I think you got the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, you have Lambeau, and then you have the rest of the pack that is catching up. So as these kids get bigger, we know puberty's going to hit, Clay, on this offseason from 11U to 12U. That's going to bring in, the difference of who's still a puppy and who's the grown men when they come back, and that's going to have a lot to do with the trend. Look at for example, look at Rare Breeds. Look at the team that they were at 11U to what they are at 12U. Those kids look like grown men. A lot of those kids are my height at 6'2". And that's what happens on that offseason. So look for the Hurricanes and Lambeau come back with a lot more bass in their voice when you see them on the stage next year at YNC, and bringing a lot more intensity. So we'll see which team fights through puberty as well. But yeah, you're going to need a passing game and a running game. As you can look at the Rare Breeds, look at Boynton. These were the teams that had to kind of mix it up. Boynton's defense, and we'll talk about that when we get there, was the difference maker for this go round. But you look at the Rare Breeds. As dominant as Rare Breeds has Watson running back, they still got to go to the air. They got to go to B5. They got to go to number 0 to keep a balanced type of offense. So it'll be a challenge, man. Who's going to do it, man, on that 11? So let me give a shout out to this top 11 player. Let's go ahead and pull up in my notes real quick. And, of course, we want to get a shout-out to Braylon Garrett, Braylon Garrett at the 11 and under, as he was the MVP. And, man, talking about blazing speed. This kid, man, once he caught that post, that skinny post, Clay, man, caught a rabbit. He was gone.
Jonah, my man was out of there, right? And that's the thing that I like to see, bro. When you see When you see a guy, a burner on the outside that can really stretch a defense, a burner that can take a slant or they can take a post route and just bust it right up the middle, right? That really gets a coach like me. That gets me excited, bro. I was very impressed with the way the Canes came in with their game plan, right? Putting the ball in playmakers' hands, spreading it out, getting these guys the ball in space so they could make some plays, right? They did some things to Lambeau that Lambeau hadn't had anyone skillful enough to be able to do to them. So
Yeah.
hats off to the new kings of youth football on 11U, man. Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, man. And you'll catch some of the highlights right there. Boom, and just like we talk about. And look at my man there. Ran all the way across the field to the opposite sideline and then said, "Holla at you." Didn't break a stride at all, Jonah.
At all. And after this play
And
right
double
here, Clay, that's when I knew that Lambeau was in trouble. They went up 2 scores in a tightly contested defensive game. I'm like, oh, there's some trouble for in Lambeau land right now because the Hurricanes playing with confidence. They wasn't slowing down at all. Score 16-0 with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. So Lambeau comes back out there, scans the field, throws to the corner, gets out to the flats, stiffs arm, and gets their own touchdown, trying to fight back in the game. But this is where they needed to be successful. You see, going to the air, getting the one-on-one matchups, getting their best players out in open space. So score now
Mm-hmm.
16-6. Quarterback back to pass again, but then he's stepping up in the pocket, trying to look downfield, and was the difference maker. The line getting to him. And that was the difference. The score would be 16-6. Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, a.k.a. Big Zip, walking away with the national championship.
And I can tell you this, man. I probably have never met a head coach that looked like he was so beloved by not just his entire fan base, his entire coaching staff, but the players, man. You would have thought this was back when Barack Obama was president, man, and he had just got inaugurated, man. The people love Coach, man, and man, they did a great job. They definitely set me up because trust me, I was
Yeah.
yelling Lambo, Lambo, Lambo. They definitely set me up, man. So hats off to those guys, man. Hell of a season. You are the best in
Yes,
the
sir.
country right now. Man, hey, celebrate that.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at Braylon Garrett real quick, holding up his Heisman Trophy for Big Zip. Congratulations to that young man right there. That's where you saw him catch that ball and get around the corner, outran the angles, Clay, and help lead his team to a national championship. First one for Big Zip at this particular age group. Like I said, they felt they had an opportunity when we were at IMG, Clay, when they were 8U. And so it comes full circle. They come back again and take on the team they always wanted to take on, and that was Lambeau.
I'm gonna tell
Congratulations to them
y'all
once
how.
again.
I'm gonna tell you, like I heard Prime say one time when he was commentating at the NFL Combine, and the young man got out there and ran a 4.28. Prime say, "Do y'all know what he just did? That young man just made himself a lot of money. That's what this guy here is
Right.
gonna do, man. He keep taking them post routes to the house like that. He gonna make himself a lot of money."
A lot of money. I'm trying to tell you, man. So let's get over to the 12 and under, man. This was supposed to be a runaway game, Clay. This was supposed to be, these boys coming out here, knocking them out, doing what they do, putting up another 40-0 game. What happened, Clay, where we did not see that 40-0 at the 12 and under?
I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. What happened is Rare Breeds came out a little bit too confident. They came out a little bit too confident, not just the players, the coaches as well. And Boynton came out there and they were more physical, they were more passionate. They made some mistakes, but they fought back. And Rare Breeds got out coached first half, man. And it just is what it is, man. Boynton was doing some things that the kids are not used to doing, and it's a perfect example. Everybody talks about how loaded up Rare Breeds is. Everybody talks about how talented of a roster Mark has, and I'll be the first one to say it, man. He's got an amazing roster, man. But what Boynton Beach showed y'all is that if you're coached up, if you're executing, and number one, if you're playing with heart and intensity, anything is possible. And people can say what they want, man. For the first time in a long time, I saw them armpit stains under the Rare Breeds coach's arms, man. They were sweating bullets for a moment. They were sweating
Yeah,
bullets for a moment.
absolutely, man. Well, let's jump right into it, man. As Boynton Beach took on the #1 team in the nation, Rare Breeds. Boynton Beach in the red and white goes top, comes back the opposite way, interception, and great tip drill. One thing I can tell you that you say what you want, Rare Breed's defense was definitely playing some excellent football through the entire day.
They were.
Putting the pressure on. And this is what killed them. Open field, and you can't coach this, Clay. That turbo speed, you either got it or you don't. He can just run downfield, don't have to worry about it. And he came over there to go ahead and harass your trophy ceremony table over there. And you're like, well, hold on, man. Hey, bro, what you doing, man? Hey, I need that back.
Hey, I had to tell that young man, bring that on back, buddy, because whatever celebration you're doing, you break that trophy, you better be able to replace it.
Right. You and your mama. Defense once again. They hand off right up the middle. Runs off tackle. One thing about the Rare Breeds defense, you see how quick they collapse the pocket. You see how quick they move the line of scrimmage backwards.
Hey man,
Really hard to
that D
run
line
on that team.
was dominant. He was dominant all day.
Ball on the ground. And goes back the opposite way. Tightly contested game. Quarterback back to pass. Here comes that pressure. He has to get out of the pocket, spins around, reverse the field, throws a pick, and you throw it to one of the fastest kids in the country. He's going to make you pay.
And that's when we had to say, "Ooh, it's a game, y'all. It's a
Yes,
game,
sir.
y'all."
Yes, sir. As you see the quarterback, he reversed his field, lost his vision for 1 second, tried to plant his feet, and didn't even see number 0 jump the route. After that, it was lights out. He tries to get his wherewithal back together, throws another pick as he was double bracketed there.
And if we're being honest, Jonah, Boynton was playing with a lot of confidence right now. Not just in this game, but
Absolutely.
in this part of the season. They just come off the big win after smashing, coming from behind and smashed the Miami Gordon Ravens. Coming to the YNC, they playing at their best ball. Right now, they've got the #1 12U team in the country on their heels in the 14-14 tie. Man, it's feeling good to be a Boynton Bulldog at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Screenplay, very nice design, walled off everyone. And that was the difference in the game is Watts will go ahead and do what he's been doing for the Red Breeds for a long time, take it to the house. And that was the difference in the game right there.
It always
The,
amazes me, man. And I've been watching Rare Breeds for years, not just as a sports enthusiast, but even as a B5 with the interception to kind of seal the game for Rare Breeds at that particular point. He may didn't have the big plays that we're used to seeing on offense, but he made some big plays on defense when they needed them, right? And the thing is, right before that interception, I watched Coach Mark challenge him. I watched Coach Mark walk in his face and ask him, "Man, are you gonna make a play or not?" Right? And he came up with the big play. But the thing I was gonna say that always surprises me, man, year after year, man, 3rd and long. You know Rare Breeds is going to that screen. And still nobody's able to stop it, man. Nobody able to stop it. It's like clockwork. 3rd and long, 4th and long. Hey, they finna go with the screen. I hear defensive coordinators yelling at us, screen, screen, screen. But it's just something about for them D linemen when they break through that line and they get close to that quarterback, they feel like they gotta have him. And Rare Breed will make you pay every time with that screen game.
absolutely, man. Well, I love what Boynton did as and so forth is creating another rivalry. We talk about all these teams that that are having, the teams that we thought would be runaways. We always used to say, well, what game is locked? We felt Lambeau was locked. We felt Voodoo was a lock. We felt Rare Breeds was a lock. These were the games that no one was stepping up to the plates and challenging these champions. Now with Clay, that's all different. After you have to play the game, we know there's a team out there giving pressure to Voodoo. We see that
So
the Lambos got knocked off. We see how close this game was here, where they were down. Listen, Boynton was in the red zone 3 different times. You got to give credit to
yes.
Rare Breeds. They were able to have 3 defensive goal line stands at 1st and 10 at the 5. I'm not just saying getting there, you got one down. It was 1st and 10 at the 5-yard line on 3 different occasions. So you got to give a shout out to the defensive coordinator, Rare Breeds. Some penalties put Rare Breeds in a bad position. They had some unsportsmanlike. They got them down with inside the 5-yard line. And then special teams, they kicked off from their own 20 or 10-yard line. And that's how Boynton made them pay. They had an onside kick. Boynton came out there, struck them quick on the special teams as well. So, it's not a lot of teams. They played them early in there, early in the season, Clay. This was a different game, a different swag about the Bulldogs challenging the Rare Breeds this particular game. So, yeah. So now, Clay, that does it for your 12U. Let's talk about that 13 and under action.
Did you did we have a big D lineman that got
Oh yeah.
MVP on this
Oh no,
thing?
yeah. No, I got to show love to our MVP. MVP. Yeah, we got to show love to our MVP for Rare Breeds. My bad.
There he is. Hey man, I love to see a big boy get the MVP. You know what I'm saying? Show your 6-pack, big fella. Show your 6-pack.
Jamin Suge Knight. And hey, listen, we got a dancing video on him, man. Y'all check that dancing video that's going viral. He leading the whole team. He letting it all hang out. Suge Knight. Yeah, he did his thing defensively. Those are the wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks usually get this trophy, but it was all about big boy love here as he brought the trophy back to the ATL. Jamin Suge Knight at 12 and under, the MVP for YNC this year.
Most definitely, man. That young man definitely made his presence felt on that national championship turf.
So, man, after that game, we knew this was an anticipated matchup at the 13 and under, Clay. We talked about TMT, man.
Boy,
TMT, with all the hoopla and the hype, we should be the #1 ranked team. West Orlando like, hey, we beat y'all earlier, but you know what? We're going to get back on the same stage and we're going to really go ahead and just bang this out and see who deserves to be the #1 13U ranked team in the nation. As you said, OG Ducks. I mean, this was one of the most, how could I say, intense brackets off the plane. 9 different teams, one
oh
goal
my,
between all of those teams, and it came down to 2 teams. But like I said, one of my favorite games was against OG Ducks and TMT as they were able to get to the last part of the fourth quarter. And man, special teams, A1 just came down there and took it to the house. We had to kind of slow down A1 a little bit in the media day room. I see that's going viral, Clay, on Overtime and ESPN. But man, you can't deny that the kid was passionate about the game. But listen, it was all West Orlando. It was their time to shine.
listen, Jonah. West Orlando said what they was going to do. Coach Josh told me what he was going to do. Every time I walk past this dude in the YNC, he would say, Clay, get my ring size, right? And I was anticipating a national championship game that would be very similar to how our 6U game was, a 24-22 national championship game. I didn't realize West Orlando was waiting for the national championship game before they hit overdrive. Man, it ain't up for debate no more. Any other team in the
Yeah,
country you want to talk about, it's not up for debate no more. West Orlando Jaguars are the 13U YNC national champions, the best team in the country, without a doubt.
right. So I'm getting in my earpiece that we didn't have the aerial footage for the 13U.
Oh no!
Uh, uh, but man, if you go on our Instagram and you go on Battle Instagram, it's one of the dopest pick six for 13Us you ever gonna see. It's in slow motion. I mean, it's super dope, man. And you see it right here, man. Ball goes across, he jumps the route. But watch this right here, Clay. Man. After that, it's a foot race, escort. Then he gonna be a little disrespectful with it, Clay. He gonna get around to the 5 yard line and say, I'm not gonna run no more. Let me just walk into the end zone
I
and look
I
back.
thought he was going to get to the
Look.
5 and turn around and moonwalk into that thing. Give him a little Michael Jackson.
And my man give you that pose.
Nah, they
Oh, so
did that, man.
Orlando, man, they bring in the championship. Congratulations to them, well deserving. The guys were humble
Yep.
all year, Clay. You wouldn't catch them online. During the season, the 13U room was just probably one of the most scandalous rooms, man. And what do I mean by that? These coaches were at each other week in and week out. And Orlando was one of the few coaching staffs that would kind of stay out of it. It would be between the Ducks, TMT, oh man, a team that really we're not talking too much about. They were really just in the mix of it all. Real deal dream chasers, Clay. You know, it's so funny
Yep.
how time changes as you're going through these seasons. Like you have some teams that's dominant in August, some teams that's dominant in September and October. But like you always say, who's going to be dominant in November and December? Who's going to have who be playing the best football? So you know you have those coaches that will really kind of dominate the airwaves. But as we got into November, December, it was no more about talking; it was about the playtime. How impressive was Orlando Jags to you in the postseason in this tournament?
Man, I was very impressed with them, because every single game they played in, it looked like a track meet. It looked like, what I'm saying, Usain Bolt and, whoever else you want to name, racing up and down the field, man. Um, these guys definitely were ready for this national stage. And there were a lot of, there were a lot of questions going into this 9-team tournament, right? That was once a 10-team tournament, who is truly the best? Are the first round matchups correct? Is one side of the bracket heavier than the other side of the bracket? But like they all say, it doesn't matter how the bracket's set up. It doesn't matter who you have first round. You've got to win to get the keys to the city, man. And one thing that's going down in Orlando right now, they walk around with some keys on their neck. Man, shout out to those guys, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely shout out to him. And also let's shout out to the MVP of this game, Tony Duke Brown, brought home the trophy, the Heisman Trophy for Orlando. Congratulations to those boys bringing home that action, man. I'm happy for them. They brought a trophy to Florida. Um, and they were one of the few teams that was ranked number one and ended up, and you talk about some teams that was number one that got knocked off. You talk about Georgia Eagles, they were number one ranked team. Lambeau, they
Yep.
were number one ranked team. You know, um, GEA 6U, they were number one ranked team. 7U, Atlanta Elite, number one ranked team. So a lot of those number one ranked teams, man, Clay, they didn't come out number one. You know, you walk in there with that
Sometimes it
ranking, but
don't
they didn't
pay to
come
be
out there
number
with a
one.
trophy.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it don't pay to be
yeah,
number one, Jonah. Sometimes it just don't pay to be number one, man. But I mean,
right.
if we being honest, Jonah, let's be real. When we sat down and decided to develop this thing and team up with Battle Sports, man, we wanted a platform that no ranking was safe in. We wanted a platform where
Right.
the best truly play. Doesn't matter what league you're part of, what part of the country you're part of, right? If you are one of the top teams in the country, you deserve to be playing for the youth national championship. You deserve to put your kids in a situation where they can get custom championship jewelry every year, where they can get the best social media coverage, where they can get the dopest trophies, where they can be rewarded like a champion, and that team and coaching staff be able to receive customized merchandise and uniforms and accessories up to the quantities of $25,000 to $30,000 per team. This is what you
Yes, sir.
deserve when you are the best in the country, right? I mean, you've put too much hard work in. You've traveled too much. You've spent too much money coming to Florida to get you a $10 ring, a $10 jacket, and a 50-cent medal, man. Come on to the big stage. This is where it's at, baby. Where we treat champions like champions.
Oh man. Yeah, that rose gold is a little crazy. That rose gold is a little crazy. It's a little crazy. Not even gonna lie, it's a little crazy.
Jonah, be real with me. What'd you do with your key, man? And your box and your custom box? What'd you do with it?
It cranks up the Bentley in the morning.
That boy say his Bentley key. His Bentley key.
Ooh.
Mm, mm, mm. Man, so many kids were in love with just this box, man. Parents too. They was like,
Yeah,
man, we can
yeah,
travel. We ain't
100%.
got to worry about it being messed up. It's gonna be safe. But one of the kids, he said, man, when he got it, he was just holding the box, Jonah. He said, oh, that key is for real, huh? He pulled that thing out. He said, oh, this thing is icy. I said, yeah, man, we do it for real here at the YNC, but man, we do it here for real.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. I'm glad the parents loved it. I had a couple coaches saying, listen, I want to go ahead and chunk up my parents. I got like 30 parents. Give us the tab, give us the bill. I want all our parents to be able to wear it with pride as well. So, happy for it. So, we'll go back to the drawing board in the off season, and we want to make sure that we always pay attention to what you guys are saying, what we can do to improve, to be better. We're going to strive for that every year. Letting you know that the order has already been made for pylon cameras for our red flag chart. We've heard your cries. We've heard y'all crying. We know we want to step the game up here. We don't want to be the same every year. So I already got the order in. So that will be part of AG's arsenal. When we do that red flag challenge and it happens to be close to the end zone, we will have pylon cameras. But guess what? I hear some people was complaining, but who does it better right now in youth football? Red flag challenge review. Who does it better right now? You know what I'm saying? But we won't be satisfied at just staying on one level. We want to make sure the experience is better for each and every one next year and every year. You know what I'm saying? So we're glad that we have the technology right now to challenge certain plays to get different looks, so we can have those things. And how cool is that, Clay, where you as a youth football coach gets to pull a red flag out your back pocket, say, man, nah, I don't think they made the right call. And I think we had an
Yeah.
overturn, which was a good, overturn
Yep.
during the game, and another one was held up. So it works. It actually works. So you had some people feeling like teams didn't get the right call at this shake. Listen, I can tell you this. I don't coach. I don't have a dog in the fight. I think the refs, as when they're trying to call bang bang plays, and what do you mean by that? When it happens quick like that, they're doing the best they can do in that situation. But then that's why we have the backup plan, Clay. Go to the video, and let's verify it. So, man, exciting action, and we wrapped up the day with 14 and under, man. So listen, a team that I was very impressed with, Clay, coming into this tournament, I didn't see it coming. Delray, 14 and under, really challenged, getting a lead out of Ohio. Delray Rocks, coached by a coach named Hot Rod, out of the Delray area in Florida, just really challenged Glen Elite. And I thought they were actually going to win and be part of the national championships against the
They
OC
looked
Buckeyes.
good, brother. They looked
Yeah,
good. They
they're
looked good. And a
throwing the
lot of people don't
ball,
understand that
execute.
Delray Rocks team. That Delray Rocks team is actually a 13U. But
Right.
because their league cutoff date is in May, they had to
They
play up to
played up.
14U per our YMC rules, right? And man, they looked really good. They looked really good. They
Yeah,
all,
they look
like
good.
Jonah said, man, they almost got in that thing, man. They almost got in that thing.
Now let's talk about the Buckeyes, man. The Buckeyes just have an overwhelming plethora of talent, man. Big offensive line, big defensive line, big running backs, great quarterback. This is what you want your team to look like before you get into high school. I mean, Coach Les does a great job in getting those kids ready. And they get in whoever's going to get those kids in high school next year, Clay, those kids are ready. They're ready mentally. They're ready with
Bonafide.
football IQ. They know the
Yep.
system. They run a complex system. Yeah, the coaches are gonna be happy. Like, man, I just all I got to do is send these guys the plays. They already got technique and everything. So shout out to the Buckeyes, man. They took a loss early to Vegas Strong. They thought they lost it. They thought they lost the mojo. Oh, the Buckeyes ain't gonna be bounce back. Bounce back when they get down to South Florida. Get elite. I've heard it from other people. Other media things said get elite was gonna win it all. Man, it wasn't even close, Clay. It was a dominant performance by the Buckeyes. Well, shout out to the Elite coming down here, but man, they were just getting pushed around on that football field against the Buckeyes, Clay.
Man, and that's the thing, man. You and I had said for a long time that the OC Buckeyes were in a class of their own, and then they ended up losing in a regular season game. And Ginn Elite looked like the most dominant 14U in the country. Now, not to mention, Ginn Elite's playing two events. They're playing in AYF and they're playing in the YNC, and they had just won the AYF National Championship. But you know as well as I know, just because you're a national championship on another platform doesn't mean you are the national champion on this platform. And the OC Buckeyes, again, showed why the YNC is the YNC. Man, hats off to Coach Les. It's been 2 years since the last time he won his last YNC national championship. Remember when he got the last minute field goal over the OG Buckeyes and Trash Pile a couple
Yeah,
years ago?
that was
But
crazy.
they made sure that it was not close this time, and that's for sure, man.
Oh
Coach
yeah,
Coach Les and staff, man, they were dominant from the beginning to end, and I had an opportunity to kind of talk to the parents as they were celebrating and the kids were taking pictures and they were just talking about everything, man. And those parents were like, "Listen, Clay, from day one, we knew it was YNC or bust for us, man." So I take my hats off to them, man. Always, always, always appreciate when an organization like that really embodies what we try to do for these kids, man. That's what's up.
I like that. Yeah, Marley says, man, Rare Breeds versus Buckeyes next year in the eighth grade division. That would be a movie
That could be
matchup, man, in
crazy. That could
August.
be crazy. I mean, think about it though, Jonah. Think about it. You would have rare breeds at 13U, all eighth graders, and OC Buckeyes at 14. You all eighth graders. So again, for you guys that's tuning in late, let me catch you up. We've already dropped our flyer for the preseason nationals we're gonna have next year, right? 6U through 12U. In the YNC, there'll be no more 13U and 14U anymore. The age cutoff date for the eighth grade division, which will be our oldest division, will be that all players have to be currently in that eighth grade, and they would have to meet a 14U age cutoff, which is basically meaning they need to be 14 or under on July 1st, 2024. That's how it works, right? No all-star teams or anything like that. So this needs to be your fall roster team with the same requirements of minimal games that you would any other time at the YNC during the regular season. But to see a matchup like that, that's going to be crazy, man. It's almost like we done gave Coach Mark what he been asking for many years about playing up, right? Now you get it all under one umbrella, man. It's going to be crazy, man. August 1st through the 4th in Alabama. Of course, we will drop more details on which facility we're going to be using in Alabama, but just know that it's there Thursday through Sunday. Ain't nobody in school yet. This is where it's going to be, man.
Absolutely. And so, Clay, we talked about a lot of stuff. Who won the Organization of the Year award this year, Clay?
Hey, man. Bessemer Tigers, right? What can you really say, man? Bessemer did the thing. They had 5 teams in the youth national championship, right? They had
A lot.
multiple teams in national championship games, right? They have national
Yeah.
championship winners within their organization for the second year in a row. Bessemer Tigers embodies what a youth national championship organization looks like. The question is, who's going to put enough talent together to challenge those guys next year for Organization of the Year?
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, next week we drop the final rankings of 2023. We'll go ahead and give you guys a poll this week just to go. You can kind of put your input in. Who do you think? Where do you think they should line up at from the games here, all the games over? But let's give a shout out to the number one ranked MVP player. Okay, the number one ranked team in the country, OC Buckeyes. And of course, Jayon Smith is the top 14U MVP player. It's the man who was the man for the Buckeyes. Let's give a shout out to Mr. Smith as he brings home the MVP for the Buckeyes. But yeah, next week we get
Bonafide,
ready to turn up, man. We drop those final rankings,
bonafide.
Clay. Wrap it up the
Yeah. Oh
year.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Listen,
bona
listen,
fide
Jonah.
dog right here.
It's gonna be some people upset. It's gonna be some people upset. Or as I always get, how we win a national championship and we're not ranked in the top five? Listen, bro. When you win the national championship at McDonald Land, you can't get a top five ranking,
Oh Lord.
right? I mean, it just is what it is, man. The best play here and the
But if
best
you
play here
won
for a
one of
reason.
these, if you win one of
Yes,
these,
sir.
you win one of these, you are bona fide. You went through the gauntlet. There was no easy road here. And let's just
No,
keep it 100,
sir.
man. Listen, one thing you can say at YNC is that you're going to have a couple things. You're going to have a vibe. It's going to be high energy. But most importantly, you're going to play great competition. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying any particular thing. I got a couple coaches talking about, man, I'm never going to the Country Music Awards event again. I'm like, what are you talking about, coach?
Listen,
I'm going to
Jonah,
see
when
you,
you talk
man.
about a
Man.
vibe, when you
Yeah,
talk
you
about a
talking about
vibe, brother, after Bessemer had secured two of their age levels in the national championship, and I'm running from field to field trying to put some stuff out, right? I looked to the side and I thought I heard the Cupid Shuffle on the D. You got the whole Bessemer organization doing the Cupid Shuffle right there in the middle of the YNC walkway, man. When I tell you it's a vibe,
Oh
we a big
man.
family reunion and a block party combined. You can't beat that
Yeah.
atmosphere, man.
Yeah.
Even the kids was like, man, our walk in getting ready for the game is probably the livest thing known. And if we're being
Right.
honest, Jonah, that's not something that we planned. That's just something
Right.
that the
Right.
vibe of the YNC just organically created. Now that walk
Big
in
energy,
is
bro.
almost just as important as how you play the football game.
Absolutely. I mean, these teams practice it. They get their little theme music. They get their boom box. They paint their box the same color as their jerseys. So the
Yep.
boom box has now been converted with the logo on the speakers. And that walk in is like it's almost like how Shaft back in the day, man. They come out there and they go. And, okay, coaching staff, coach, go ahead tell us who won the coaching staff for the year.
Coaching staff of the year went to Voodoo this year. Of course, as you know, they've got this dominant record. But the thing that was most impressive to me is that, unfortunately, Coach Batman had to be suspended for their semifinal game. And that coaching staff came together and handled business and didn't lose a beat, as if Batman was right there on the field screaming, from the numbers on in, man. So
Right.
hats off to Voodoo, Atlanta Elite Voodoo, the 2023 Youth National Championship coaching staff of the year. Great job, gentlemen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, man, Bessemer brings home the organization of the year, and Voodoo brings home the coaching staff of the year. And shout out to all the national champs, man, from 6U to 14U. Alabama bringing home 3 this year, Florida bringing home 2 this year, and Georgia bringing home 3. So, it's very interesting there. Could it be a little shift in powers? We're still waiting for Texas to get back on the board. Is Gorilla Mob the closest Texas team to a national championship? And listen, you guys been dominant the last couple of years. DNA has brought home multiple championships as well. But what team do you feel is at the cusp of winning a national championship, right, Clay, out of Texas?
If I'm saying right now out of Texas, I think if Gorilla Mob, and here's the thing, you know as well as I know, Jonah, winning cures everything. When you lose, man, that's when people lose their mind. So if Gorilla Mob keeps everybody in place, I think they definitely have a legitimate shot as well too. I think that when you talk about SCD's 9U, right? Now the thing that hurts them is that they're in the same division with Voodoo. So now you're in the same division with a legendary team that's going to be going for a YNC record 5th championship in a row, right? What pieces do you have to add, or what tweaking do you have to do to compete with that?
Yeah,
Another team I would take a look at is take a look at TNS 7U. You got to
TNS.
remember they were up by 12 points against
Yeah,
the national runner-up, and at that time the defending YNC national champion, and it just kind of all crumbled. Rumors that I'm hearing is that TNS 7U and Oak Cliff Titans 7U are going to merge so they can come and attack the YNC next year on 8U. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of Texas, man. But if I'm being real, we really got to pay attention to two areas right now. Everybody knows Atlanta's gonna have some great teams, but right now Alabama has put the nation on notice.
Yeah,
But now you got to take a look at what's going to be coming out of Florida now that Florida Elite has now grabbed some of those teams from South Florida and put them on 7-1 league dates, man. It's going to be
yeah.
crazy next year. It's going to be
Well,
crazy.
we know West Orlando is graduating out, so they won't be bringing back a 14U team next year. But you got Bugatti, who's going to be in contention for the 10 and under. You got Zip Up Boys, Zip 'em Up, which is going to be there in contention for 12U. So those are some teams right there that are they going to be able to compete? And then at the younger ages, 6 and 7U, or those are always a surprise as well. And don't let me forget giving a shout out to California as they took home a championship as well with the Buckeyes. So you got California, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia right now just bringing home some championships with teams that's right on their heels, states that's right on the heels. Like I say, Texas is right there. Can Florida increase their lead on what they have going on in those areas? So, man, it'll be very interesting. We'll find out come preseason, man. In Alabama, we'll get a good look at what teams and what states are going to be the front runners of, winning some national championships once again, Clay.
Most definitely, man. And this is the thing that I love the most about it. You and I both know, Jonah, if we having these conversations in the preseason, if we making our picks, man, we don't even get 50% of who our national champions are correct. If we're being honest, right? We
Yeah,
don't, because I can tell you right off the rip, if we talking about Rare Breeze, Lambo, and Voodoo, we miss one of the three, you know?
right.
So it's going to be interesting, man. I think the off-season acquisitions are going to be plentiful, right?
Yeah,
I think the NIL deals that some of these coaches are going to be cutting with these parents is going to be stupid, right? And I think as we continue to roll out the evolution of the YNC, and listen to me when I say this, we've made some announcements for the preseason. We've set some things up for a preseason national championship. We've redefined what 14U and 13U looks like with now just an 8th grade division. Keep paying attention. There's more to come.
exactly. Exactly. So, man, I'm excited. I'm once again, I'm proud of all these national champions, man. I know these kids really deserve it. Like you said, yeah, we some number one teams got knocked off, Clay. Then there's some new sheriffs in town. And Big Zip, they're proud. They're gonna do a Florida parade down here for them boys down here in Fort Lauderdale. But you start all the way from the bottom. You're talking about Bessemer. That wasn't a team that they would think would come back and win the national champion. GEA was the front runner the entire season, being the number one ranked team, and it was just supposed to be a walkthrough for them. But they were able to come out there and play the game. 7U. We talked about Atlanta Elite being dominant and winning that championship. They didn't get out of the second round. So you talk about, man, these are some teams that's just really making Adamsville now. Adamsville Tiger is a team to beat going into 8U next year. And then you're talking about
Yep.
8 and under. Man, I just tell you, I'm excited that Coach B has been able to put back-to-back championships. But right now, you have to say, if you can win back-to-back championships, and that game went into overtime, who says if you can win two or three at the same time? So I think one of the most dominant performances that I've seen, of course, was Voodoo in the championship games against Crescent City, winning big. I like what Big Zip did against Lambo. I've never seen Lambo really just go down a couple touchdowns like that. And I'm glad to see that Boynton has said, listen, we ain't gonna lay down. We're gonna play some football. So be very interesting in how those teams pan out for next year, man. Very interesting.
Most definitely. So, as you said, Jonah, till next week, because when the rankings come out,
Ooh.
that's when the angry come out.
Well, we know who the number one teams are. That's not what they worried about. What they want to
That
worry
part we
about
do,
is
though.
number 2,
That part we do,
number
though.
3, number 4. That's what they want to know. They want to know where they're going to end up, man. So next week, we drop the final rankings for 2023. Once again, shout out for the number one teams in the nation. The national champs have already been declared. Ain't nobody can take that away from you guys. And let me tell you, you can walk in any grocery store. You can go walk on any football field. And if you have this, you are like the godfather of football. They're going to come kiss your ring. They're going to come kiss your ring.
No doubt.
All right. That's what it is, man. So till next week, man, I am Jonah Willard for Generation X Youth Sports Network, Clayton Guillory for the YNC, Al on the ones and twos, same place, same time next week. Tune in, tell your mama, her grandmammy, and they mammy too. Rankings going down next week on Football Uncut. We'll see you here next week.